What's up, everybody? Welcome to Behind the Devil's Curtain, Episode 6. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Behind the Devil's Curtain 6. I can't believe I have that many episodes. Come on in, everybody. It's Friday night. Grab a drink. Let's have some fun. Let me know how the sound is. All right. Who do we have in here? What's up, people? Grab a drink. It's Friday night. Tonight's episode's called UFO'S and Baloney. And today I learned something crazy. Some details about this stuff that I didn't know. Come on in. We got Silly, Ashworth, Aaron, Amanda, William. What up, buddy? Come on in. Tonight's a non-alcoholic beer dark night again. I haven't had this in a while. All right. How's the sound? I'm curious. Let me know how the sound is. Folks, before we begin, if anybody's new in here, do me a favor. If you go down on the screen on the right, just bring your cursor over. There's a subscribe button. I'm at 602, trying to get to 1,000,000. Hit that if you're not a subscriber. Lychee bubble tea. Whoa. Scott Hildebrand in the house. Wow. What up, buddy? Long time no see. You're going to like tonight, Scott. It's on UFO'S. And there's some new stuff in here. Yeah. Wow. Come on in, everybody. All right. Yeah, subscribe if you can. I'm going to turn this down. Tonight for me is a really simple episode because it's lots of talking and storytelling. You know, like these Behind the Devil's Curtain shows, I usually have props and a million things going on. Tonight's simple. I have a lot to talk about. It's a subject I like talking about. I want input, please. Please, please, please. And also get a notebook because I'm going to be throwing out names, dates, stories, character, all sorts of things. You're going to have to write them down because what I'm saying is my opinion of what I've processed. You need to go do the research. And this is a subject that is really fun to do the research on. So grab a pencil and a notebook because there's a lot going on tonight. Hey, thank you, Aaron. Bada boom. Someone just tipped. Hey, you know what? I'm going to say it quick. A little plug for the tipping system here. Bada boom, Aaron Lynn. Thank you so much. Everybody, every single tip that you give goes straight into the show. It literally, like my lights, all my rigging right now, everything, my mic is paid for by you guys. Thank you so much. I'm working on a camera. So anybody that donates, yes. If you do 25 or more, you get put on a list. It's called The List. Cool. Thank you. Someone just subscribed. Scott, grazie. So check this out, folks. I'm going to get into this quick. I'll say right now, the only episodes I'm working on now, I have the next 2 Behind the Devil's Curtains planned. There's 2 episodes that they're ready to go. I'm researching them now. Boardgasm, I have an episode. 2 game reviews on Boardgasm. And as you know, Mondays and Wednesdays are always my news hour, unless it's something special. And for the magic people in here, the magician types, I'm working on Magic Method Level 3 cups and balls. Just the cups and balls. The 3 cups and the 3 balls. So, cool. Let's get started, folks. I'm into this lychee bubble tea. That sounds good. I remember the first time I had bubble tea. It was in Taiwan. And I was so sad that they didn't have it in the USA. And now, obviously, we have it everywhere. How did you donate? Well, anybody wants to donate, if you go into my description underneath, there's a link. It's got the web address. It's streamlabs.com/Adam Cardone. Thank you, everybody. Cheers. All right, I'm starting. I got a lot of notes tonight. And I'm going to start by saying, ever since I was a child, I was obsessed with UFOs, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. Like most of you, I think everybody watching this show... Oh, the button is only for subscription, and that is in the bottom of the screen on the right. The donate button, they won't give you until you hit 1,000, which is why I'm trying to get to 1,000. So, supposedly once it's that easy to click on, the donations go out the roof. You'd think they would give it to you early, right? Just to make money. I don't get it. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you like UFO stories. I've had phases in my youth where I believe that UFOs are a phenomena that are unexplained. I also had many phases where I thought UFOs, yes, there's things that happen that are unexplained, but there's probably an explanation, a worldly explanation. Now, in my adult life, I'm even more baffled, and I just want to start by saying in 2017, I'll never forget this. It was in the news, 2017. Basically, the Pentagon's admitting UFOs are real. Every news agency carried it. Every newspaper printed a little story. New York Times, CNN, Fox News, everybody ran a story. The thing that blew me away was two things. A, they're admitting it, right? Wow, they finally are like, yeah, there's some weird stuff. We don't know what it is. And two, nobody seemed to care. Nobody cared. I would meet people all the time and go, hey, the government admitted UFOs are real. What? What do you mean? What do you mean, what do you mean? It should have been the biggest news story of our lives. Literally, like, they're saying this thing happens and they don't know what it is, right? That freaked me out. I didn't get why it wasn't that big of a deal. So here's what it is. We're going to start right now with what the Pentagon released. And the thing that's funny is they've released a few 3 videos and 1 picture. But here it is. In 2004, pilot named David Fravor, write this down because you can watch him get interviewed. You have to hear his words. He's a first eyewitness, like he was there, right? This is what he said happened, and there's a video. There are 3 videos. One's called Tic Tac, one's called Gimbal, and one's called Go Fast. They all have nicknames already. So, David Fravor, the pilot, Navy pilot, they are doing a training mission, and they're told to go check out something. What he doesn't know is that the Navy has been following and tracking these things, that they don't know what they are, for a few weeks. And there's more than one, okay? He doesn't know. He's in the air, and they're like, oh my God, he's in the air right now. We're going to send him over to see it with his own eyes. And he didn't even know what it was yet. So he flies over, and this is what he said he saw. A 40-foot Tic Tac above the water, and there's another thing below the water. And the 40-foot Tic Tac, this is how he described it. Jittery, like this, jittering around the water. Like in an unnatural jitter, right? And he's up here, right? And then he said the thing goes, pew, and shoots up to where he is, and now they're flying like this. And then eventually the pilot guy goes over towards it, and the thing takes off at speeds that are ridiculous. He flies back, and the pilots are like, whoa, we've been tracking that thing for a few weeks. What? Okay. Thank you. Silly just tipped too. Thank you so much. All right, so then they released the Tic Tac video, and you can see it. Then they released the Gimbal video, and they also released the Go Fast, and you can see these weird things in the air. They were seen visibly. They are seen by radar, and all the instruments pick it up, so it's not one thing picking it up. And they're different ones. They look different. One's a Tic Tac. Here's the one that's like gives me goosebumps. One looks like a black ball with a translucent square, and two pilots said they were flying and it went right in between them. What the hell is it? And then 2 weeks ago, or no, more than that, like a month ago, the Pentagon finally admitted that this is real. And I'm going to show you the photograph now. When I saw this, I was just like, what the? Here it is. Check this out. This is a cell phone picture. The item in the box is... I mean, it looks like a bat wing. I don't know, but it was in the ocean, and it shot up at, like, you know, the speed of sound or faster, and they took that picture. Anybody knows what it is, please tell me, because I don't think the government even knows what it is. Are they drones from another country? Is it alien technology? Now, here's where it gets weird. If you go back to 2017 and you read the original news that said it's real, hey, the government's admitting they have a program, they don't understand what these things are, we're tracking them, they see them a lot. It says in fine print, and they have materials. What? Excuse me? Wait, say that again? Materials? What do you mean? Is that a crash ship? They haven't given the details. So all of these little nuggets of details, I have been compiling in my mind, writing them down, noticing things that line up. And all of those Pentagon stories that I just told you now, there are some things in there, some details that kind of freak me out. One of them is the fact that they have materials. The second is how the thing jitter moves. It says they're jittery when they're not moving, which I'll come back to that. Remember that detail. Any thoughts in here? Let me know. Oh, someone noticed my special lighting. Is it special? I did change the lighting. Actually, for those of you that watch this a lot, behind the devil's curtain, I definitely always change the lighting a little bit. If anybody here's had any experience with a UFO, please, I want to hear. Now, the government doesn't call them UFOs anymore, which stands for unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean alien. It just means I don't know what it is. Now they call them UAPs, unidentified unidentified aerial phenomena P, UAP. They changed the name. I'm going to call them UFOs just because it's a little easier. Oh, here's something funny. Anybody know Jackie Gleason? Quick little anecdote. I'm a major Jackie Gleason fan. Honeymooners is one of my favorite TV shows, and people don't know this, but Jackie Gleason was a great musician too. Very talented guy. His hobby was UFOlogy. Now, he was a really famous human being. I mean, he was the Jerry Seinfeld of his era. I mean, even more famous maybe. And he was famous with, you know, politicians and celebrities, and the president of the United States, Richard Nixon, supposedly, and this is in Jackie Gleason's wife's book that she wrote. Nixon took Jackie Gleason to see things. Pretty weird. Okay, so let's set aside the Pentagon stuff, okay? Because here it is. I mean, there's something going on. They don't know what it is. They're telling us. Maybe they're crowdsourcing it. They're like, hey, anybody know? Or they're hinting at something. Bam, Scott Hildebrand has something in here. It says he read an article on the picture. Was ID'd as an atmospheric recorder. It wasn't zipping around, just floating and confused. So, Atmospheric recorder, meaning it's an actual human-made thing that they knew what it was. I want more details on that, because I looked up stuff and couldn't find. Because the government guys said they didn't know what it was either. Like, they were a little confused. At one point, they said it was a cube, but in that photo, I don't see a cube. Maybe it's changed. I don't know. I don't know. Clearly, there's something going on that nobody understands. I mean, imagine you're the government, and there's drones flipping around that you don't know what's going on. You're like, hey, what? China has something we don't know about? I have some thoughts. We'll get to that at the end. All right, let's go now straight to Mr. Bob Lazar. It does. It looks like a weird little emoji. I love it. So, some of you are familiar with Bob Lazar. There's a new Netflix documentary about him. The documentary is garbage. And I'm going to talk about it right now. I can't stand it. There's already documentaries about how bad that movie is. It's so bad that it's comedic on second viewing. I'm going to talk about it. But before I get to the movie about Bob Lazar, let's just talk about Bob Lazar. Some of you know who he is, some of you don't. I'm going to tell his story in a nutshell. The date, I want to get these dates right. 1990. No, hold on. 89, I'm sorry. 1989. Here's how the world learned about Bob Lazar. He went on the news in Vegas with his face blacked out, and he basically said, hey folks, I work for a military base in the desert, Area 51, but it's actually not Area 51, it's S4. It's down the road from Area 51. And aliens are real, I work on them. Like, he basically spilled the beans on it with his face blacked out. A week later, or a few days later, he went back on the news. No blackout. Just blatant, like, here I am, Bob Lazar. And the reason he did it is because he got busted showing his friends when the UFOs were being test flown. And he thought they were going to kill him or do something bad. And so he was coming clean publicly so that if anything happens, here he is. The truth is out, right? So after he came out, he started talking. And talking in detail that's so hard to believe. There's no way this guy's making it up. So he said he got hired to reverse engineer flying saucer. And he said there were 9 different ones that he saw. They were not from anything man-made. They didn't know what they were. And he was hired as one of the guys to reverse engineer. And he thinks the guy that had his job died on the job because they opened up one of the batteries or something. Anytime he said he heard something that wasn't fact, he says it straight up. Like, I heard this, I can't say if it's fact. But what he did say is this. It's S4's the place it happened at, which is not Area 51. It's somewhere else near there. He was hired to reverse engineer this craft that worked like this. It had a power source and a gravity amplifier. And what it does is it doesn't have propulsion, it has gravity. So this is what he said, at slow speeds, the thing is unstable. So it's jitters. See what I'm saying? Why? It jitters, huh? And when it moves, it's falling. So if it wants to go up, it makes gravity here, it falls up. If it wants to go here, it falls that way. It's constantly falling, right? And he explains in such detail that it's crazy. He's never changed the details on this stuff. It's very specific. Now, there are some weird details that I'll get into. But his story sounds legit. He looks really honest. Doesn't have a lot to gain. That's debatable. And there it is. He tells his story. He's famous in the UFO community. I thought, it sounds like he's telling the truth. Like, there's some weird stuff here. Like, now, the stuff that he said that was a red flag early was this. I think he said he went to MIT for college. Well, if you research it, they're like, we don't know who this guy is. And he's like, look, they erased my record. You know, after I left this job, they literally went around and, like, cleaned me out. And they do have the power to do that. That's not unheard of. I mean, so he had a backup story for that. Early in his career, where he didn't have a backup story and was a red flag for me, is someone asked him who his professors were. And he didn't remember. That went in my notebook as red flag. Like, that's... Dude, you ask me my professors in college? Oh, I remember them. Especially, like, some of my high school teachers I forgot. Not all of them. Some of them I remember. My college teachers that were like... When you go to college, you're learning your craft for your life. When you're in high school, you're learning a bunch of junk, right? So some of my teachers, I mean, I know them so well, it's ridiculous, right? So that to me was a red flag. Yeah, some man just said that's weird. It's super weird that he did not remember any of his professors' names. Now, fast forward into the field. So this happens in the 89, 90. Bob Lazar, you don't really hear about the guy. He's there, and, you know, YouTube comes out, and now he's back, because now we can watch all the documentaries about the guy. And then the Pentagon starts doing their thing, right? They're like, hey, this is real, right? One of the ministers of space in Canada, he's like, it's real, and there's a federation. The guy in Israel said there's a federation. So there's a lot of people now yapping publicly. And along comes Jeremy Corbell, the filmmaker who made the Bob Lazar movie. Now, he made the movie with the intention of, A, proving that Bob Lazar's telling the truth, and there's new evidence to prove it. New evidence to prove Bob Lazar is legit. So he gets this movie together, and I watched it. The first thing I noticed is the movie's called Bob Lazar, but it's actually about the filmmaker. Jeremy Corbell, I think, is in the movie more than anybody. The first 20, 30 minutes is him in his kitchen and in the bathroom making phone calls. Fake phone calls, right? Some of them, they're fake. He's not even talking to anybody. Well, hold on. Yes. William's bringing up something. I'm going to read William's comment in a second. So, this film comes out, and in it, two things happen. Two big things. Well, three things. And I wrote them down. These are supposed to be major events for the film. They tell the Bob Lazar story, right? You hear the story. They hire a celebrity to do the voiceover that has nothing to do with the movie. It's almost like an Ed Wood thing. You know, Ed Wood hired Bela Lugosi and got him to read a bunch of junk and then edit it. It looks like that. So here's what's in the film that is a bunch of garbage. So Jeremy Corbell, Bob Lazar said that he remembers going to work and they had a hand scanner, which they didn't have in the 80s and 90s yet. That didn't exist. Or so it did. And Jeremy Corbell is like, I found the old hand scanner. I found a photo. And he, on camera, brings it to Bob Lazar. And Bob Lazar's like, yeah, that's the picture, right? Wow, I haven't seen this since I worked there. What? Okay. This is weird. The hand scanner that they use is actually in the movie Close Encounters. You see it. It's the same one that in the photo that he showed him. And there's a million video of Jeremy Corbell saying that's his favorite movie. He never noticed that scene. It's a little weird. The other thing in the movie that is really weird, is Bob Lazar owns a chemical company, a science company, and they basically sell chemistry sets and chemical supplies for schools. It's not like, major corporations, I don't think, are buying stuff off this guy. Anywho, his lab gets raided, and it's part of the film. Like, he got raided. And it's because he claims to have stolen an element called element 113 from the old days. He took a little. Now, that element didn't exist, and now it exists, and that's proof that he's telling the truth. Hold on a second. First of all, element 113, the number is just a number. I saw one guy say, it would be like me predicting, let's say there's 140 elements, and I predict that the aliens use element 141. And so eventually they find a new element, and they go, hey, we have a new element, 141. And he's like, yay, it proves my... No, dude, it's just a consecutive number, idiot. It's just a number. It doesn't say what the chemical is. It could be anything. It's a weird little detail that doesn't make any sense. It's like, why are you bugging out over this detail? So he has all these moments in the movie that are not... Like, when he gets raided, what they don't tell you is he's getting raided. There's two things. A, somebody died. Someone got killed, and the chemical that killed them he had. So they thought it might have been him that sold it to the person that killed. He also has been arrested before. In 1990, he was arrested for being part of a prostitution ring in Vegas. Right around the same time the alien story came out. That's fishy. Yeah, and in 2006, I think he also got in trouble for selling chemicals that he wasn't supposed to. So he had a history for that. So that doesn't prove that he worked on alien spacecraft. All right, let's look at some comments here. And this is all legit. I mean, William said, how do you know that someone wasn't tampering with his memory or feeding him some stuff to mess with his mind? CIA used to put thallium powder in Castro's boots to make his beard fall out. Well, you saw what happened to the Russian guy recently. They put poison in his underwear. That's how they got him. But he didn't die. Of course it's possible. Yes, you're right. They could have used... So people don't know this. The word conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist was invented by the people hiding a conspiracy. It was like, I'm giving you a name. Yeah. God, the comments tonight are great. I'm gonna have to go back and look at all these. Right. So Fallon, my audience are a bunch of smart people. If Fallon just brought this up. Most higher number of elements decay in seconds. Element 113 decays like immediately, right? They're highly unstable, so can you really make it and take... Yeah. Yes! The CIA coined the phrase conspiracy theorist. I can't believe people don't understand that. That's the easiest way to discredit somebody, is call them crazy. Oh, you're crazy. It's the ultimate gaslighting on a big scale. So, yes, you're right. It could be them shutting him down. I'm going to bring up some things I've noticed that I think you're going to like in a second. My expertise, personally, I'm not a scientist. I can study body language. I am a human lie detector. Okay? So, I watch these guys talk, and I watch Bob Lazar, and his body language to me says, this guy's legit. All right? So, let's keep moving here, because this all starts to come together in a second. Jeremy Corbell. Let me read about this. The movie, it looks like he's a fanboy, Corbell, for Bob Lazar and George Knapp, who's the reporter that broke the original story. He produced the new movie. Little fishy. There is money to be made in this, okay? It's not that there's no motive to make it up. There is a big one. So the movie comes out. The consensus is not only does it suck, it discredits Bob Lazar. It's supposed to credit him. To me, it did the exact opposite. It made it even more obvious that there's problems. Especially like if you're telling the truth, you don't have to fluff the baloney. You focus on the truth. You're like, yeah, you don't focus on the baloney stories, which is what they did. So, okay, right? So we've got the Pentagon video. Oh, my notes got jumbled. Where are my notes? Oh, here it is. We've got Bob Lazar. He comes out. The new movie comes out. And I'm going to tell you something about Bob Lazar that I noticed. And then we're going to move into the second half of the show, which is the stuff that freaks me out more than all of this. Stories that have been around for a while that you don't know about maybe, that I couldn't believe aren't more famous and talked about all the time. We're going to get to that in a second. But let's talk about Bob Lazar. I love body language. I like studying it. I like watching it. I like watching body language experts. It is a debatable subject. To me, the art of body language is interesting because, like, for instance, somebody who like moves their hands around a lot or overemphasizes something, that might be a symbol of lying. But me, first of all, I'm an Italian guy that talks with his hands all the time. So if you're a body language guy, you got to quickly look at somebody like me and go, that's part of his character. That's not him lying. So you have to be able to figure out what these things are and then start pulling it apart. So I watched a video of a bunch of body language experts watching Bob Lazar. And they were like, yeah, he's good. I mean, he's taken the lie detector tests. His story's solid as a rock. It never changes. It's legit. It's this guy's not. He experienced something. Okay? What it is, I don't know, but this happened to him. Okay? Now, one body language guy, after everybody said their thing, said, yeah, I agree with all of you. But there's a big but. And as Pee Wee Herman said, everybody has a big but. It comes in. So let's talk about this big but. Sorry for the Pee Wee Herman references. You all remember the scene, I hope. I think her name was Simone. He goes, Simone, let's talk about your big butt. Here's the but with Bob Lazar. The body language guy noticed something. Watch Bob on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan asks questions, the ones I would ask, the details of how the damn thing operates. That's what I want to know. He was there. He stood in front of it. He experimented with it. His answer was interesting. He's like, yeah, I don't remember all the details. And I don't really, that when I go out and talk now, that's not what I focus on. The body language guy said, he literally just said, I don't do that bit anymore. That's what it's like when people ask me to do certain magic tricks. I'm like, I don't do that one anymore. Wait, why? What do you mean you don't do it anymore? This isn't a trick. You're not a magician doing a magic trick. You said you work on UFO'S, and you're telling me you can't remember the details? Baloney. You ask me at any moment about any detail about something like that, or let's say a project I worked on 20 years ago. Okay, Shakespeare Festival. 1995, I was Tybalt and I had a sword fight. I can talk in detail about that sword fight, the process, the fight master, learning it. Yeah, there's things I forget, but the main parts, I remember. If that's your work, you remember these things. There's no way I'm going to go, I don't do that bit anymore. If someone asked me, so you worked on these UFOs, what was it like? What were the details? I'd be like, all right, how much time do we have? I'm going to just go, right? That's what I would do. It's just weird. It's a weird motive choice. It's a choice that says liar. Anytime you remove yourself from the story, bingo. The more times it happens, big red flags. It's like someone who works out or trains and has no muscle memory. Yeah, kinda. It's weird. It's like, it doesn't make sense. If you're a physicist who worked on UFOs and someone asks you about the physics, it's like asking me about sleight of hand technique. I could talk for hours. This guy, come on. Bing, 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 big red flag, folks. That's when I was like, oh. Now, what about some of the details? The jitter, right? I found other descriptions of that. Now, what I personally think, with Bob Lazar and George Knapp, the guy who's the reporter who broke the story, he was a Las Vegas news reporter. He might have heard about it and claimed he was part of the team, even though he wasn't. That's possible. He could have been hired to work on one of those bases, and the rumor was that, and he was like, I'm going to make money on it. It's possible. It's also possible that he was, supposedly the government bugged him, and in the bug, he heard that his wife was cheating on him. There was a drama going on in his personal life, and he had some involvement with some sort of, he says he set up a computer system for a bunch of prostitutes, and he didn't know what they were doing. Other people say he was part of it. Who knows? People do weird things when they get caught, right? They react in bizarre manners. He seems intelligent. He's not a dummy. We may never know. I will say, though, after watching him this much and doing my own math on it, there's big red flags. I don't think he was hired to reverse engineer UFOs. He might have been hired to be an office manager, for all I know. Who knows? But I don't think he did. Now, let's creep up to other stories that... here we go. Now we're getting into ancient alien stuff. So, my thoughts on ancient aliens. Okay. I'm not going to go into ancient... I did read Chariot of the Gods. I read all those books. I watched a million documentaries. My thoughts quickly on ancient aliens. Sure. Why not? I don't like the word alien, though, because... And this is at the end of the show, but I'll bring it up a little bit now. UFO doesn't say alien. It just says unidentified, right? But clearly, we're dealing with something that's unexplained. And everybody that I've met that has seen a UFO in real life, and I've met people that said they do jitter and move, that at first sight, you get a feeling of dread and fear because it's behaving in a manner that's inhuman. And even the pilot, the Navy pilot goes, that's not from Earth. Mind you, this guy sees everything. He's in an airplane all the time, and he's experienced all this stuff, and he's straight up going, it behaves in manners I've never seen. So, is it an alien? Is it a human from the future? Is it a dimensional being? I don't know. I do know this. The COVID bill. Right, yeah, the COVID bill. The thing that they're, talking about that was just signed and the whole thing and all that. In the COVID bill, it says they have 180 days to release more UFO stuff. I kid you not. Look it up. It's actually in the COVID bill. So anybody that doesn't understand this, when you write these bills, no one reads them. Can you believe that? They sign things that no one reads the details on? It's weird. Yeah. This ancient alien stuff is all legit. If there are aliens, yes, of course the ancients saw them too, and they interpreted it very differently than what we would call it, They would call them angels and demons, right? Well, look at this. Let's move up. Now we're getting into goosebumps territory. Oof. blows my mind. In 1994, in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, there's a school called the Ariel School. A wealthy school. Black Africans, white Africans, and mixed kids all at this school. So you have like, it's a school. It's in the middle of, it's like in a field. So here's what happened. The kids ran in the classroom. How many kids? 62 kids? 62 kids said they saw a thing land and something get out. A thing, a creature. The teachers were like, shut up. You guys are all in on this stupid joke, and made them all shut up, and they went on with school. That night, the kids went home, and the parents called the school and were like, our kids are messed up. Something happened to them. They're scared. They're not acting normal. So then they started asking questions. And when you hear this, it's kind of weird. They said, some of the kids said they saw one creature, black silhouette. Some of them said they have Hildebrand. Yes. I don't know if you can post a link or something. Yeah. I love it. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Some of them said they saw two, and one of them said they saw one that was phasing in and out and reappearing. They all said they were scary. They all said they had black eyes. Somebody said they had weird hair. And they flew in a professor named Dr. John Mack from Harvard University, a psychologist, to study these children. And this is what he said. Oh, and you can watch these. They're on YouTube right here. You can watch it. You can watch the interview, these kids. And you can watch them get interviewed now. Okay? Here's what the doctor said. He said, here's the part that's fascinating. The black kids had a different experience than the white kids because of their cultural backgrounds. They had different legends growing up. He said, if they made this up as a team, that wouldn't have happened. It would have been a little more planned out of like what happened. It didn't happen that way. It happened, and they all interpreted it in their own manner. And they were clearly messed up over it. And that story, look it up online. You'll find it. Small stuff, not a lot. Not a lot of info on it. But mass sighting, 62 people. Pretty neat, right? Let's keep going. It gets weirder and weirder. I'm going to save the best one for last. Then we have this. Today I did a lot of research on this. I didn't know about this one as much. 1967. The Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Nukes. They had 10 nukes. 60 feet underground, bunker style. And, okay, here's what happened. There's, above ground, a red light on the ground, takes off, it's jittering, right? They're like, what is that? They send dudes up to look at it. They're like freaking out. They're like, I don't know what it is. It's jittering around and flying and freaking out. While that's going on, all 10 nukes shut off. Look this up. I'm not kidding you. This really happened. This is an anecdote. This is real. They didn't know what it was. Yeah, they disabled them. What is this? So they're freaked out. And then here's the scary part. It happened it happened more than once. It wasn't a one-time instance. What the heck? It said a week before the same thing happened to the other crew. All 10 missiles were disabled for 24 hours, which is literally considered an act of war. If that was another country, it's like... Also, the Pentagon guy that said he saw it above the water, he said his radar was shut off. Again, act of war. It's considered an act of war. You can't jam someone's signal. EMP-style shutdown. Correct. That's what they think. It was an energy pulse, shut it all down. There you go. They think a lot of military type things are what make these things show up. I get goosebumps reading this because when you see the guy that worked on the base, like, look, I don't know what it is, man. We went up and looked at it, and we were all freaked out by it. They were scared. When you hear fear, what it baffles me. Like, I can't even imagine what that feels like. So then here we go. Here's the one that I can't believe isn't famous and has never been made into a major movie. And there is a little documentary. When I'm done, just go watch it. You can hear these people speak on their own. Here we go. What year? 1960. Hold on, I want to get the date right. 1966. 1966, April 6. Australia, Melbourne. It's a suburb of Melbourne. It was called it's called the Westall High School. Wait till you hear this. 200 plus students and teachers experienced something that lasted for a while. Many people saw it at different times, at different areas. Some people ran over to it. This is what it was. Kids were in school, looked out the window, saw a UFO. They freaked out, ran outside, were pointing at it, running it. It was chaos. They didn't know what to do. Some of the kids climbed the fence, chased it. It landed. They also said they saw other planes in the air that looked like Piper Cubs. What do you call them? Little planes chasing it. Somebody took a picture of one a day before, and one of them landed in another area, and a bunch of people in another area ran over to it. So it wasn't just one group of people. These are people that didn't even know each other, experienced this saucer-like object that was flying like a freak. Here's where it gets crazy. Somebody got some really good footage at the school, and within an hour or two, the Men in Black showed up. Some people thought they were Americans. Some people thought they had American military fatigues. They basically said to everybody, you're not allowed to talk about it. It's over. Don't discuss it. Nothing happened. It was an experiment. They had a couple reasons. The field in which it landed left a mark, and the next day it was burned. They burned it all down, all the grass. That's happened. The students were told not to talk about it. And here's where it gets crazy. So, fast forward to today. Imagine this happened to you. You experienced something that was beyond your wildest imagination. You were told nothing happened, and then when you went to look up the news stories about it, they were scrubbed. They made it like the actual newspapers, like the articles are gone because people were talking about it for a while. Gone. It clearly was covered up by lots of people. What the heck, folks? Look it up. Westall, Westall, UFO. And listen to these people talk. They're like, look, we just want to know we're not crazy. That's all they want to know. They want to know we're not crazy. They want the government to be like, hey, we didn't know what that was. We're very sorry that we treated you like that. But when I hear them talk, it really makes it sound real because you wouldn't make that up and keep it rolling like that. Whenever you like lie, you remove yourself. You don't add yourself to the story. It's a psychological thing. And these are like mass sightings. 200 plus? That's a lot of people. And I can't believe people don't know about this. I don't know what to say. Here's my thoughts. Let me see here. Fallon said that a recent documentary, The Phenomenon, had a segment with the school from Zimbabwe and the nukes. Okay, so I'm right. These are the ones that stick out to me the most. Zimbabwe, Melbourne, and the Montana nuke story. Those three, I've listened to the people talk, and my radar of lying and my baloney meter ain't going off. Some of the Bob Lazar details tie into that, especially when it describes how the thing moves. And people that I've met that have seen them said, you just feel bad. You know it's not human. It would be like, imagine when the, have you ever seen the movie Apocalypto? Imagine when the natives saw the Spanish boats. You're just like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's crazy. Like, you have this weird feeling of dread when you see something so unknown and foreign. We evolved for that button to go off that says, get out, right? Not like, hi, I want to meet you. That's not what happens. You know, when you're confronted with that, a godly thing, you're not like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Let's go hang out. No, you're like, oh, what are you? I don't know what you are, right? Here's the other thing. They said they had materials. Now, if you look at Roswell, I studied the Roswell story a lot. It's got some details that are weird, right? There is sort of a cover-up-y feeling to it. And it could have been a crash. I don't know. What if it's this? What if what we're seeing is a technology that's not ours? Maybe it's future. Maybe it's future human gifting us a few things. But imagine, so people are like, why don't they just tell us? Why don't the aliens reveal themselves? What if the secret that we do know, what would happen? I personally think if our leaders got on and said this is real, two things. A, our lives as we know it would be changed forever. Everything. Every single little detail about our natural born lives will be completely different. Film, TV, art. As soon as you add the other, everything changes. Everything. The world religions are going to have a little bit of a tricky time justifying certain things, especially if the other has a different version of all of those other stories that we all come to love and adore. The mythology, the religions, yeah. And then add on top of it, it's literally, if we're not alone and it's clearly that, things will change for good and bad. But what if we have a little bit of their technology and they're not around, right? What would that mean? That would mean that is the most powerful thing in the world. What's more powerful than you having alien technology? I mean, you've seen Spider-Man, the newer ones. I saw the one with Michael Keaton. That's what that's about. He has a little bit of alien technology and he's selling it to terrorists. Imagine the U.S. government has a tiny bit of alien technology that they were able to reverse engineer, and we are experimenting with it. And we're trading that stuff with other countries that have their little nuance of alien technology. That's pretty cool. I mean, and scary. That would mean the arms race has a whole new level. Whoever dominates space now is the boss. I hope it's us. I mean, or the narrative is that. Now, the guy in Israel, who's like their NASA guy, said there's a federation. They have a base on Mars. We're not allowed to know about them yet. And they're kind of here to help us and make us not blow each other up. Whoa, what's this? God, this chat in here tonight's fascinating. I love that I've stimulated such a juicy chat in here. Um, I personally, I mean, I can't say I know what it is. Anybody that does, don't trust them. Um, Even the government people, how do we know they're not fed things to tell us? We don't know. Um, we may never know. I do know that in the last few years, we've learned more than we ever have our whole lives. And we've learned more from the government telling us these things. I don't put faith in what the government tells me. I do take it with a grain of salt, as everybody should. Anybody remember Tuskegee? So many things that our personal government has done that's kind of shifty and strange that, you don't know what the motives are. But if you think about it, basically, our motives are to survive, and some would say to dominate, to show power. I mean, that's what these world governments have been doing with the army. That's what the Cold War was. It was like, I'm bigger. No, I'm bigger. I'm stronger. And one guy eventually so outstrong the other guys went bankrupt. Because they were busy trying to build weapons. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe they're teasing an arms race. I don't know. I do know that we have a stealth bomber. And if you saw the stealth bomber 50 years ago, you'd be like, alien, right? I don't know. Yeah, that's right. There was a Space Force. Trump did make the Space Force. Maybe that'll be the last, the last day Trump's in office, he'll do his alien speech, which is, that's weird. Yeah, the Space Force TV show is kind of funny. I did see a couple episodes. I don't know. The famous saying is, the only thing I know, Socrates, the only thing I know is I don't know. And I will end with that. I don't know. I have thoughts. I have ideas. I have opinions. I am good at telling when people are... my baloney meter's good. It goes off quick. And my baloney meter is not going off on these stories, okay? It's telling me, yes, something happened. They didn't make it up. Something happened. Is it aliens? I don't know. Is it something unnatural and supernatural of sorts? Maybe. Clearly there's fear. They're scared. It's unknown. It's bizarre. It's strange. That's what I think. And I'm going to keep my eye on it. The fact that the COVID bill has UFO in it, look it up. It's there. It's weird. That is weird and blows my mind. So I love this stuff. It keeps my brain up. It keeps me thinking. It basically fits what this show is. It's sleight of hand, which is what science, logic, forbidden knowledge, esoteric metaphysics. And when you put them together, you get amazing things. And that's what question here. That's what the show is. Amanda says, I'm curious why Bob Lazar, what about him made him a candidate for the particular job? You'll see. He was like a science nerd who built his own rocket car when he was young. And he's like one of those like homemade science guys. He was able to build stuff in his garage. And according to him, they like people like him. And I would too. I like guys like that. Self-taught science guys usually have their own way of working. And according to him, that's what it was. But I don't know. He said he went to MIT and he was a physicist. And, again, I don't know. I always said I hope I live old enough to see something cool before I croak, like UFO stuff. This is cool. I'll admit, the fact the government said something, I'm blown away. But I want more. I want to know more. Yeah. Lots of research to do. It is of the hour, and I am going to end this one very soon. If you are in here watching and you had a good time, hit the subscribe button. because I'm trying to get to 1,000, and it's creeping up there. And if you would like to donate, my gosh, there's the donate stuff. There it is. Streamlabs.com. Cut and paste that. I would love to do a show on remote viewing and the experiments on it. I will eventually. Yeah, the donations all go straight into the show. I love doing this. I love doing the research. I love that there are people out there that like this kind of stuff and they like chewing on it. I hope I stimulate you to do your own research and you guys do it to me. I mean, I'm going to go back here and pour through this and you guys stimulate me. So I thank you. I love doing this show. And episode 7 is going to be awesome. I'm working on it now. Probably it'll be ready in 2 weeks. Most of these take a few weeks for me to get ready. I like to really make sure I'm hitting the points I want because there's a lot in here. Oh, yeah. They have 180 days to disclose more UFO stuff. I love it. It's called a committee comment. In the bill, there's a committee comment that says 180 days to disclose the rest of the UFO. Bada boom! Donations, Fallon in the house. Grazie, grazie. Thank you. Folks, you guys are fantastic. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to have a live crowd waiting for me. And I'm going to try to do the best I can to make these really good. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to take you out with my outro trailer. And keep on commenting. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the notify bell. You've been watching Behind the Devil's Curtain, Episode 6, UFOs and Baloney. My name is Reverend Cardone, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Daryl, Amanda, Scott, William, everybody in the house, Funeral, Amanda, who else? Fallon, I hope I don't miss anybody. Silly, all the people that are in here. William, Talon, Lenny. So many people. Thank you, everybody.